Hi everyone, this is Molly Z here with Successful Women in Business, and I'm super excited today because we have an amazing guest. She's been called a number of things. Top in my list are a realist, a humanitarian, a genius. She's built teams of into the hundreds of thousands, and considered one of the greatest networkers, women networkers of all time. She's a multi-million-dollar earner. Has been in, I'm not even sure, but lots of different companies. She's currently working in Hong Kong. And my favorite part is that now she's right here on Hangout with me. So it's really exciting, and I'd like to introduce Lisa Grossman. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Molly. It's a pleasure to be here. It is 1 a.m. in the morning here. I'm high on excitement and short on sleep, so for those of you watching, please forgive that, but I am thrilled to be here and delighted that you're willing to spend some of your time with me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now you're out in Hong Kong right now, and I know it's what, like 1 in the morning there. Is that right?
It is.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can't thank you enough for taking your time. I know you're spread thin and you've got a lot going on, so for you to come and spend an hour with us is really exceptional. So we really appreciate that, and I just want to thank you ahead of time here. So
my pleasure.
I'm going to go ahead and pin the pin on Molly's map, Hong Kong here. We looked for that earlier just so I'd know where it was. Can everyone see that all right? Here we go, Lisa in Hong Kong. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and get started, and you're probably going to laugh at my first 3 questions. You may know what that means.
I doubt it. Go ahead.
Number 1 is, are you happy?
I am, and I'm probably at the happiest point in my life. I think that I am just old enough to appreciate all the things that I have in life, how wonderful life has blessed me, and just still young enough to be able to enjoy it. So I think I'm at a nice point in my life.
Great answer. I think we're right around that same point, different paths that we've been on, but I think we're right at the same age. So, as I was researching a little bit about you for this interview, I watched several, and I loved how you said that you've gotten wiser and wiser over the years, which has helped you be a nicer person, and I feel the same way. So
and you're more tolerant, or more, I think as you become more forgiving of yourself, which you have to be if you're going to survive, because I think so much of the anger we direct outward as we're growing up is really directed at ourselves. We just don't know how to deal with that. And as you start to realize the person you're most angry with sometimes is yourself, if you want to forgive yourself, you got to forgive everybody else, or forgive everybody else so that you can't forgive yourself. So I think the key to being nicer to yourself is just being nicer to everybody else. And then everybody's happier, I think.
I think forgiveness is huge, and the more you can forgive, the nicer and easier it is to get along.
Well, forgiveness is the way you beat your enemies, I think.
Yes, good point. I like that. So we'll give ourselves a 50-plus-year-old pat on the back for forgiveness. So my question is, we know you have a plan, but do you have a plan, Lisa?
I am always working a plan. Sometimes there are days where my plan is about as doesn't consist of more than getting through the day, but that day is always part of a bigger plan.
I'm going with your 3 questions here. So we know you have a plan, but you have the 3-question interview that you follow for most people when they don't know what to ask, and the third one would be, most people are not. Yes, would you like to see one? Most people are not happy. A majority of people do not have a plan. So what's the 3rd question that we use?
The question is always, do you want to see one? With the caveat and understanding that it probably isn't for them. And that's, I think, the hardest thing. And for those of you that are watching thinking that we're both insane because we sort of started in the middle, You know, most of the times when we're doing interviews like this or we're talking to people, our target audience, the most of the people that are watching, or at least for a long time, that's changed recently for me over the last couple of years. I find that the audience is getting broader and encompassing a lot more people I would say of the entrepreneurial spirit than those that are specifically involved in traditional network marketing, which has been sort of my home base for the last couple of decades. But we always go out and talk to people because that's really the job. The job is really not to convince anybody of anything or try to get them to change their life. It's really to find out where they're at and to offer them options, or to awaken them to the fact that they in fact have options, because many people don't realize that they do, and to make them wake up and look at things maybe a little bit differently, because I think the key to changing your life is changing the way you look at the world, looking at things in a different way. I think some of the most magical words are, I never looked at it that way before, because it's looking at the situation in a different way that gets you a different answer and a different outlook, and hence a different result and a different attitude, and can turn unhappiness or frustration into happiness and fulfillment. So I always said, what I was taught is it's always not about you, it's about the other person. And most people are not used to people being interested in them. So the real key is, don't worry about being interesting, be interested, and go and find out if people are happy. Now, initially, we're all trained to be like, to conditionally put on a facade. And I laugh because, we always go out and people always say, how are you? And what's the conditional response to how are you? He asked me, how are you? If you're in the United States in particular, 9 times out of 10, doesn't matter what it is, people say, I'm fine, everything's fine. Well, people aren't fine unless you go with my definition. I think fine stands for effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That would describe the fine state that most people find themselves in. But that's what they're supposed to say. That's what we're all taught we're supposed to say. As a matter of fact, Molly, think about it. Can you imagine if you're going through your normal day, you run into the person, you're going to get the mail, and you run into the neighbor, hi, how are you? And instead of saying fine, which is what you're supposed to say, she says, oh my goodness, terrible. The cat is sick, and the dog's got the croup, and my husband, I think he's cheating, and the faucet's leaking, and I gained 12 pounds, and I burned the roast last night, and well, and you're looking at her going, what are you talking about? Don't you know how this game is played? I say, how are you? You say, fine. I get my mail. I go back in my house. So people are conditioned to think that nobody really cares. And if you keep probing, if you keep asking people, if you're incredibly interested in them, very quickly the facade will drop, and they'll start to open up to you, and you realize they're not so fine. Most people, particularly as they start to get out of their 20s, into their 30s, approaching 40, most people are no longer connected to the dreams they once had, the vision of their life they once had. They sometimes don't even remember that they had one. They're sort of settling. They're starting to ask questions like, is this really all there is? Is this what my life is supposed to be? And then they get very caught up in getting through the day, and the days turn into weeks, and the weeks turn into months, and they don't even realize that time is going away, and they're really not very happy. So when you start asking questions, they start to connect to that. And once you get them to open up about that, the next question is, do you have a plan? Well, you're not asking them if they have a plan to see if they have a plan. You know they don't have a plan. If they had a plan, they'd be working the plan. They would be talking to you about how unhappy they are. But what you're helping them to do is connect, wait a minute, I'm incredibly frustrated. I'm really not happy with the way things are going. And I don't have a plan. I don't have a plan to change that. Wow. Light bulb. So your next question is, do you want to see one? On the one hand, it's like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? Now, on the other hand, it's like, well, I don't want to get roped into anything. So the next statement's always, it might not be for you. As a matter of fact, it probably isn't. But if you see what I see, I think together we can do something really special. And either way, I think you're going to love the products. But if you don't, that's okay, because at least you'll be on the road to finding a plan. And by the sound of things, you not only need one, you deserve one, because you deserve to be happy. Because it's all about relationship. And ultimately, every person you sit down with, you can't be connected to the outcome. And if they were willing to listen to you, they made you better, and they're a hero in your story. And if you can help them connect with the fact that they really deserve to be happy, and the road they're on maybe isn't going to take them there, and you can help them wake up and start looking for alternative roads that maybe are going to take them somewhere better, then you become a hero in their story. And you don't have to end up in business together today. You may never end up in business together. But life is a journey, a process, and people you meet along the way and serve well, it pays off in many, many ways that you never know how it's going to. They come back to you, or they introduce you to people, or they speak highly of you to people you've yet to meet who run into you and they've heard those things. So it's really amazing the way that it works, because I've never had a problem finding people to talk to. I think you can see by this that I can talk. And I've never had a challenge with people introducing me to other people, or finding people that were willing to listen and look. And if you can find people that are willing to listen and look, you'll always find people that it's the right thing for, and then there's no convincing necessary. You just find the people you're supposed to be with.
So you basically take the effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional out of the person and show them that they don't have to be that way.
Or let them know that it's okay, because we're all that way.
Right. We're all that way, but
either way. I mean, I think most people just want to know that, yeah, you're screwed up, I'm screwed up, we're all screwed up, and guess what? That's okay. You're not alone. That club you think that you're in, that everybody else is, living on that greener grass, we all have to mow it. We all have weeds, and nobody's grass is really any greener. Some people, we're just all putting on a show for each other, and I'm willing to take back the curtain, you take back yours, and we can admit that we're all okay.
So it sounds like you said that a few times before, Lisa.
Oh, more than that, I've lived it. I mean, I was raised in fear of what other people think. I mean, I had a mother, may God rest her soul, who I believe truly wanted me to be the very best. And her way of getting me to be the very best was to remind me every single day of my life that I wasn't there yet. And she thought that was a great way to encourage me. And I spent my whole life thinking good was never good enough. And chasing some elusive next rung on the ladder. And that's when I figured out that that doesn't make you happy. It's not that you go achieve something and you're happy. It's that you become happy with who you are, and success follows. And once you figure that out, it gets really very easy, because you don't put the pressure on yourself to get other people to do things, and you don't put the pressure on other people that somehow their performance or lack thereof is the key to your happiness.
Awesome. I feel like a lot of people in this business feel pressured to get people to do things. And that just brings me to one. I'm kind of skipping all over the place here, which is fine. I don't have any real agenda, but maybe that could help us bring up a little bit about the importance of usage of certain words. And I try to help, our group with, instead of using all the time, and I hear this a lot, it's me, my, and I. Like, let's switch that up to more unification and more globalness of using the words we and us, and instead of using like let's get this person, how about let's find someone, let's help someone, not let's get their money, or I feel like when I really listen, and I know listening is big to you because I've just listened to several of your interviews, and listening is huge. It's your number one thing, in fact, if I'm not mistaken. So when I listen to people, I hear a lot of the me, my, I hear a lot of the get versus the find and help. What do you have to say about
Molly? Do you like the idea of somebody getting you into their business?
No, that's why I encourage
Out
using.
there, excited at the prospect of being gotten, or being a part of somebody else's plan, or a prize in someone else's, situation. I think the challenge is that people are so intent on learning how to build a network marketing business, they never really stop to understand the business they're in. And network marketing is a business. But then life is a business, and I don't mean that to sound cutthroat, but there are certain universal truths that are applicable to all things in life. Because there's logic that cannot be ignored, and there's emotion that will never not be involved where people are. And they're always running like this to each other, in conflict with one another. So I always tell people, the business has to make sense. But that doesn't mean you have to do it or that anybody's going to want to do it. The bug business makes sense. Nobody wants to live in a house with bugs, so and I call bug sprayers every year, so obviously it's a good business. Makes perfect sense. It's logical. I'm sure it's very profitable. Never in my wildest dreams have I a desire to put on an orkin suit and go kill bugs. Doesn't matter how good a business it is. I could sit down, somebody could show me all the numbers, and I'll agree. Great business model, makes sense. No wonder that Mr. Orkin is a millionaire, and I'll bet Mrs. Orkin's jewelry is gorgeous, but not for me. And that's reality. So rule number one is, even if it's a great business and makes all the sense in the world here, doesn't mean that it's going to do anything for anybody here. So getting somebody, if you want to use that terminology, I don't think it gets you in. How? Because a business has to make sense and be viable, because you can't love it into working. But capturing someone's capturing someone's brain because it makes sense to them will get you nowhere. It has to capture their heart and imagination. And that is a function of understanding them, not selling them on what makes it exciting for you. So if you're getting them by selling them and talking to them and giving them the grand old pitch, then it's really shooting in the dark, because unless you're sitting in front of the person who's really going to get excited by that story of killing bugs and all those numbers of how profitable it is, it's kind of pointless. But imagine a world, where you make the home bug-free for all those little happy children that are so afraid of bugs, and you're the person who comes in. And I still wouldn't get excited about it, but it's a whole different approach. So I think that what people have to understand is, there is a place for I. When people are asking you questions like you're asking me, people follow certainty. So if someone asks you why you're doing something, even if you want to talk about the team and what we're doing, it has to be, I'm here because I saw this, I felt this, I used to believe this, and now I believe this. This is where I was at, and because of this team, because of what we're doing, because of what I saw I could be a part of, because of what we could accomplish as a group, I made a decision to be here. But there are certain places where the I is important, because it shows a strength and a certainty that people are really they're really looking for. But I think it all comes back to the fact that this isn't a sales business. It is a business. It is a marketing business. It certainly involves the movement of products, creating consumer bases, and things are bought and sold, but it's not a sales business. It's a business of creating teams and organizations to create long-term consumers. And the difference between those is, if you come to buy a car, it is a sales business. I'm going to sell you that car. I'm not looking to create a relationship where you are going to go out and you are going to create an organization that also sells cars. And that's a different thing, because I can spend all day getting you totally sold on the car to the point that you don't even know how you bought it. I was just Oh, I was so compelling. My presentation was so over the top. Next thing you knew, you were driving a car. But nowhere in the furthest stretch of that experience, the next day, are you thinking about picking up the phone, calling everybody you know, and saying, boy, do I want to, I got this car, you have to have this car, and now I'm the car salesperson. So it's a whole different dynamic. And I think that too many people get caught up on trying to sell, and that's why they're disappointed.
So it's more about sharing an idea of change, really, a lot of it.
Well, think about this, and I see this every day, especially in the space. For those of you that are watching, I mean, there are a lot, today more than ever, there are a lot of good companies out there. Now, there are a lot of companies that make no sense. I mean, you can think they have great potential, and you think the product's great, but they're just not going to work. The math, the model isn't viable. It's not sustainable. They've got a great story, but don't have the infrastructure to back it up. They can't deliver on the promise, and all the king's horses, all the king's men, all the prayer, all the love, all the potential is not going to make it work. And those should not even be in the consideration when someone's making a decision. So but there are a lot of good companies. In today's world, products are generally good. A good product will not last for very long. The marketplace will take care of it. Today, everybody's pretty much a publisher. If they have one of these and it's a bad product, the product does not work, very quickly you can go online and you can find out by seeing what people are not shy. They will tell you that it was overpriced or ineffective, and you can learn very quickly. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that most of the products in the marketplace are good. And there are a lot of companies that have good comp plans, and a lot of companies that have good management. So really, you don't own that space. Whatever company you're in, to go out and constantly sell, well, we have the best comp plan, and we have the best product, and we have the best management team. And it's ridiculous, because none of us own that space anymore. There are many, many good companies. What it comes down to, once you've got all good companies on the table, is what makes what you're doing unique. You. So if you're sitting down and talking to somebody, and you're in a relationship with them, and you're concerned about them, at some point, they're going to say, why is this different from everything else? You have to be honest. There are a lot of good companies. But let me tell you what's different about this one. I found a team of people here. It's all about the people. That I am working with, a team of experts that I am certain that working with this group of people and this management team and this company, that I am going to be able to change my life. And I would like you to meet this group of people. Don't you think you'd like to meet this group of people to see if maybe this team can help you change your life? Because all those other companies are wonderful and fine, but the only way that we're going to work together is here, because this is where I am. And that's kind of the message. But the only way that you can deliver a message of certainty that someone's going to respond to at that level is if you've spent enough time talking to them and being interested in them and connecting with them, that they want to work with you. And they want to see, or at least find out, why you're so certain that you're in the right place. Because here's the thing. The most important thing, and I've consulted for many, many companies. You said at the beginning you didn't know any companies. I haven't built that many in the field. I've had great success in the ones that I have. And I can build a good network marketing business. I'm good at building a network marketing business. But I am not one of the greats. I know the greats. And I've got good relationships with them. And I've had the good fortune in my life of being able to enroll and be able to support a number of greats in my businesses, which is why I've had such great success in the field. What I am very good at, we're all world class at something, for me, is understanding the business of network marketing. So I've done far more helping around the industry and many, many, many companies, many, many different teams with different companies than I have built businesses. In 25 years, I think I've seriously built maybe 5, 6, perhaps, in the field. And here's what I can tell you. Comp plans are important, but they can be fixed. I've fixed a number of them myself. My partner is one of the best in the world at comp plans. Products all have a lifespan, and you can always help a company find a new product. I've done it many times. All those company, if you open a country and there's challenges, you can always go in and fix the challenges, fix problems. I've done it. Here's what you can't fix. You can't fix the people. There's nothing more important than the people that own the company, the decision makers. Who are they? How committed are they? How big is their vision? What is their long-term vision? Do they understand who their customer is? And are they service-minded? Because distributors create 100% of the revenue in a network marketing company. Companies don't create any of it. They service it, they support it, they help make it possible, they deliver the product, they do many things, but they don't create the revenue. And when we do what we do, when you're out in the field, you are either a prophet or a liar, and you have no control over which. Because we go out and we tell a story of hope. We tell a story of the company, the vision, the product, the comp plan, the future. If the people at the home office know what they're doing and they deliver on that story, we're prophets. Telling a story that's going to come true. And you can be there at the very beginning. And let me show you this picture. If they can't deliver or they don't, then we're liars. And the biggest and saddest thing is you have no control when you're in the field over which one you turn out to be. The only control you have is when you make the decision to get involved. So there's nothing more important than the people that own it and the team you choose to get involved with, because you are only one person. And if you are successful, when you are successful, you will have a huge team of people at various levels of involvement, commitment to the cause. Customers, part-time people, people that love to come to the events, people that are on the path transitioning from part-time to full-time, people that are making full-time livings, people that are traveling 300 days a year, that not to get rich because they were making a ton of money a long time ago, but because they are so committed, they are so dedicated to helping people process that they live on airplanes. And when you build something like that, it's an awesome responsibility. And you have to be thinking about, if you truly plan to be successful, if you can truly see it and believe it, that's what has to be on your mind the day you make the decision. Because that's what success looks like if your vision is big enough. So nothing is more important than the team you're with and the people you're in business with, because everything else is fixable. So kind of went off on a long tangent there.
Yeah.
The reason I say that, so that's why for me, it's always never about getting the people, because the people will come. It's about doing the work and serving the people.
It's an excellent point. I mean, I myself have seen people make choices on the company that they want to get involved in, buy comp plans and products, and then sometimes they'll wonder why they're not having a success, or why we have a 95% failure rate in the profession, until people come to realize what you just spent.
I think that number's skewed. I think the number is skewed and ridiculous. 95% of the people don't even know they're in a profession. 95% of the people were sitting at home one day watching television. Their phone rings. Somebody took them to a meeting they didn't understand they were going to. They got excited. They gave their credit card. Some products showed up, and 45 days later, they were watching television on the couch again. That's hardly a profession or a business. That's not even a little league season.
Well, I think you're involved in helping to change that a little bit with Eric Worre, correct?
Well, Eric is a very dear friend, and I think without exception, Eric is the best skills trainer in the space. He's got many, many, many other talents, and he's world-class in all of them, but he has broken it down to the 7 basic skills. And it does require skill. I think that people hear what they want to hear. Network marketing is an amazing, amazing profession. I suffer from TB, true believerism, like you wouldn't believe. I mean, so nobody can tell me it doesn't work. I know that it works. And it's wonderful because you can learn while you earn. because it doesn't require any specific educational background, capital investment, all the barriers and obstacles that will keep people from, success and having their own business and control of their own destiny in more traditional, what we call traditional, outlets in business. But to be world class, to be successful, to make more money than 98% of the people in the United States do, and at $102,500, that's what you're doing. That requires a learning curve and skill. But they're all skills that you can learn. And Eric is marvelous and has done an enormous service in boiling it down to 7 very easily understood principles and skills that if you learn them and repeat them over time, you will inherently get better. And he's also done a lot to raise the image of the profession, to create understanding and acceptance of the profession. The best ambassador that we have. And yeah, we go back to when he was 22 and I was 27, and all of that was just a vision. But again, everything Eric is doing today is something Eric saw in his head long before it manifested itself in reality. So none of it surprises me because I heard about it long before I saw it. And I saw it, the vision he articulated, I saw it happening long before, it came true. So.
Yeah. So speaking of, you touched on your true believerism. I like your words, believerism. So I guess my next question was, I heard about and we touched a little bit on this, but explain to our viewers here what your imagination on fire is and how it helps you.
Oh, my imagination. Well, I go by the title Chief Imagination Officer. I think that, I've said this all along, I've always had an ability to see things in my head, just to see the end of the story, to see things out and work backward. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes not so good. You have to learn how to train it, because I can get neurotic and crazy and Chicken Little, the sky is falling, just like the next person. But I think the challenge for most people is people always tell you what they want. I want to make $1 million. I want to live in a fancy house. And here's the harsh reality: we don't get what we want. We get what we picture. Most people in life, whether they like their life or not, is immaterial. They are living life as they see themselves living life. The way that their life is how they see their life should be. That's why they call it a comfort zone. You may not like it, but it's the picture you have of your life, and it's where you truly think you belong. And the only way life changes is when you change the picture. And what happens for a lot of people is the things they want are nothing more than a wish list. And I don't mean that in the negative sense, like they're not willing to work for it. I mean, if you take somebody who's only ever lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, nothing wrong with this, by the way, and they've only ever driven like a broken down car, and nobody in the family's ever gone to college. Not that I think college is all that important. I'm not for it or against it. I think that it's a great disciplinary thing, and my kids both went, and I'm thrilled with the fact that they did. And I also think it's, if you don't want to do it, you have great success without it. But they don't know anybody that ever has. And they sit down and they say, well, you say, what do you want? Or they go to a meeting, like in our space, and they see somebody on stage, a great speaker, talking about, I've got my house in Malibu, and I've got my ski place in Aspen, and then I've got my regular house, and here's these 4 cars we have. And they say, well, I want that. And they make a list. I want to be a millionaire, and I want to have this, and I want that. They don't see themselves there. They don't even know what it's like. They've never known anybody who's lived in $1 million house. They've never even been in a car like that. They have no frame of reference for it, and they don't see it. They may want it. They may want it desperately, but in their heart of hearts, they don't see themselves there. They don't believe it's possible because they have no way to believe it's possible. They don't, and therefore they can't really get it. And that's what holds a lot of people back. And as I said, I've interviewed a lot of people that are multimillionaires today, some a lot of in this space, a lot in other entrepreneurial pursuits. And I've always asked them, you know, what did you want when you started out? Did you see yourself here? And more often than not, they did not have a list of the $1 million house or the, you know, all of those things. Not with clarity, not with specificity, but they specifically knew what they didn't want. I don't want to have to go to a job where if I'm 3 minutes late, somebody can fire me. I don't like being told, you know, when to chew my food because 12 o'clock is when everybody goes to lunch, and even if I'm not hungry, that's when I'm expected to eat. I don't like having to ask for permission to go to my son's Little League championship game. I don't like that my kids have to go to aftercare and I'm not home when they come home from school. I don't like that I can't afford to take my family on a nice 2-week vacation at least once a year. How much is that to ask for? And these were all things they could see themselves achieving. They seemed real and tangible. So more often than not, their initial list, the picture that they started out with, was as much about eliminating things from their life than it was about getting the house on the hill. And as their vision grew and they checked things off the list that they wanted to eliminate, so the picture grew, and they achieved more. So I've always had a very vivid imagination because somebody that I really, you know, I've had so many mentors along the way, some living, some that I had met in my lifetime who are no longer with us, and some that I never met other than in books. You know, going back to Eleanor Roosevelt and Socrates and Plato and all the many, many books I've read in my life. And what I've learned is our success or lack thereof, our frame of mind, where we are in life, how we respond to things, it's all a function of the questions that we ask. And better questions yield better answers. And very often people get in question loops where they overwhelm themselves because they ask so many questions so quickly that their mind gets lost. Asking better questions and then always asking the next question. Great planners, great visionaries always ask the next question that allows them to get the picture even more vivid, more specific. The more specific and the more vivid a picture is, the better you see it, the more you can emotionally connect to it, the better a chance you have of making the picture manifest itself in reality. Because the mind doesn't know the difference between a very vivid dream or picture in your head and something that's really happening. So ask better questions, get better answers, ask the next question, and it all works out. So I think that was my big aha moment, and that's what changed everything in my life, because I just learned how to ask better questions. I'm still learning every day how to ask better questions.
Yeah, I love it. I love how you put the questions in a, like you said, to put them in sort of an order and take your time to build a vision, or have the person build a vision while going through a series of questions. That's really powerful. So I love it. You know, you touched on mentorship, and you know, we're really big on getting mentorship, and for me at my age it was a little hard because I was used to being you know, as a mother of four, I was used to being the one that everybody came to for everything. So basically, you know, whether you want to be the mentor or not, as a parent, as a mom, you know, as your parents are getting older, as a woman, you're sort of the nucleus of everything, and people are coming to you, especially if you work in a field for many years where you're also in charge of a group of people. So the mentorship thing is, you know, sometimes I think by women especially forgotten, or just you are the mentor to so many that you forget that you need mentorship as well. So, you know, with I know you're friends with Robert Hollis, and I worked hand in hand with him, and you know, we're all about the mentorship. And as far as finding a mentor, how would you recommend someone do that? I mean, Robert actually recommended me to have several for different things, you know.
Well, mentors are not the same as coaches.
Right.
you know, and mentors, again, I've been mentored by many people who don't know that they've mentored me. Because a mentor is somebody who will help you help you learn to ask better questions, or help you articulate your vision or move in the right direction simply by asking you questions that make you think. See, coaches help you with your performance. They help you execute your plan. Mentors help you learn how to think. Because so many people today think it's about what to do. This is the biggest challenge I see that stands between people and true success. 99 out of 100 calls that I get, and I guarantee you that Robert gets, are how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you talk to people? What script do you use? You know, blah, blah, how, you know, what do you do when this happens? What do you do when that happens? How to is not the issue. If there are 6 parts of what to do to be successful, they think it's 6 parts how to. Well, how to do something has never been a secret. There are libraries filled with knowledge of how to do everything from the greatest minds in the universe for free. The internet, you can type in how to do anything. Right now, if you're watching this, you can type in how to do, you know, how do I do brain surgery, and you can get back detailed instructions. I wouldn't recommend you try it. There are laws about those things. But how to do it is readily available. But that's what people get caught up in. But how did the first person, before there was a recipe on how to do it, how did the first person do it? He figured it out. Knowing how to think, learning how to figure things out. Being successful is 4 parts thinking differently than most other people do. 1 part, I think, discipline, perseverance, sticking to it, not, you know, drowning out and ignoring the mediocrity and the distraction around you to keep your eye on the prize. It's maybe half a part, the recipe, because the recipe is always there. If you're in any company where someone has been successful, then there's a recipe of how to do it. If you don't know their phone number, you go on the internet. All of the successful people that I've ever met in network marketing substantially do the same thing. You can go buy this wonderful book. It's called Go Pro, written by this friend of mine. It'll tell you everything about how to do it. But why do so few people do it? Because they don't have the understanding of why it's important. Everybody wants the shortcut and how to do it better. You know how you do it better? You do it often. You do it over and over and over again. And it's that simple. There's no shortcut to success, but people don't understand that success is not linear. It's not how many days does it take. It's how many times does it take. The first time you go and you try to speak on stage, you're going to suck. We all do. But here's the good news. The 5th time, you're going to be better than the 1st. The 10th time, you're going to be better than the 5th. By the time you get to 100, you're going to be really pretty good. At 250, you're great. Here's the question. How long does it take you to do it 250 times? I know people that have done it 250 times in a month because they did it 8-10 times a day, every day. I know people that have been doing this for 5 years. They haven't done it 100 times yet because they haven't been doing it for 5 years. Just 5 years have gone by on the calendar that they've sort of kind of been in. You know, so I know, you know, same thing with talking to people and telling stories. The first time you go out and talk to people, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be better the 10th time, better the 100th time. How long does that take to talk to 100 people? The person who talks to 5 people a month is going to make less money and is going to develop much slower than the person who talks to 5 people a week. And they're going to be a lot slower still than the person who talks to 5 people a day. Because the person who talks to 5 people a day, they have 30 months in comparable time to the person who talks to 5 people in a month. So people always ask me, how long does it take? It's not how long does it take, it's how many presentations. People are not numbers, but it is a numbers game, and success loves speed. Because You get the mistakes out of the way faster, and you get to the success because it's repetition. Do anything over and over and over again, and you will get better. Go swing a golf club over and over and over again, and even if you're never a great golfer, you're never Tiger Woods, you will hit the ball faster, further, and better after you've swung it 100 times. And by the way, that's how Tiger Woods became Tiger Woods. He was practicing hours and hours every day from the time he was 2. Natural ability, sure, but discipline and practice, repetition. That's how you do something. But understanding why you do it, seeing where your ability to do it can take you, apply how that can impact other people, how you can transmit that through story to other people, how you can get a collective group of people to bond together to do something great, and create a group where once you just had a bunch of individual people going in a bunch of different directions. That's how you think. That's what you see. That's the questions you ask yourself. That's what mentorship is. People that can just spark those things in your mind to get you to pick up the how-to stuff and do something with it. Coaches are the ones that once you've decided to do that are at your side, helping you to get that extra second when you run. Get that, make that subtle change that ignites the talk. So mentors get you to go to the next level of thinking, to see the bigger picture, to see the bigger picture still. And coaches help you to increase your performance and get to optimum performance and optimum achievement once you've moved into the bigger arena, I think. That's just my definition. So to me, mentors are everywhere. I learn as much from people that I help as those that I go to help me.
So you mentioned books, so you could probably get a lot of mentorship through just listening to people and reading books. What are a couple of your favorites? I know you mentioned GoPro, but you also mentioned several others.
I do different kinds of books. I mean, for books that talk about how to do things, I like things that are easy, and I didn't say not well written. I mean simple, that don't complicate things beyond what is necessary. But as far as books that inspire you to think, there are a lot of books that I've really enjoyed. The Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss is a big one for me. And it really, and a lot of Dr. Seuss is big for me. I love Seth Godin's work and his books. I like Gary Vaynerchuk's work. And I've read a great deal of that. I like Og Mandino for sales training. I like the Bhagavad Gita. I like Proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
I like to read things that are obscure, that are not that are just interesting. I don't often find myself reading a lot of what's the newest, greatest book unless it's been out for a couple of years and people are still talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good. It's good to know what people that have gotten to your level of success like to read. So I think that our listeners really appreciate those, and probably will run out.
I think I've just didn't quit because I love people and I love having fun. And I think I got to a point where I started to take the work seriously. I started to take serious people seriously and to stop taking people whose opinions didn't warrant my taking them seriously, and I stopped taking myself too seriously. So I guess it's always your definition of success is.
Yes. I love that, how much your passion at 1 in the morning is coming through the screen. It's just apparent that you really, really love what you do. So, and it sounds like it did take you.
I haven't really figured out what I do yet, but I do love having a chance to figure it out with wonderful people.
And you talk about people's opinions that you don't merit. And I think that brings me a little bit to the next question. We talked about distractions, and there's a lot of drama, and I found quite a bit of dishonesty. You know, it's all over the world, and it's in corporate America too. But what's your way of dealing with that? And I know I heard you mention.
Well, first of all, I think there's a lot more ignorance than there is intentional dishonesty, because people, I don't want to say that they're stupid, but they have a tendency to get caught up in things and just not ask the next question, because sometimes the few things that people call me and tell me happened, and I'm like, okay, explain this to me again. I mean, how did you, because you have to be responsible. So I don't think it's as much dishonesty. People don't want to be responsible for where they're at. There are dishonest people. There are people that intentionally set out to mislead and scam others. But my experience is that is not the majority of people. The majority of people get involved with something and they do not take the time to ask the questions themselves. They just take a lot of stuff at face value. Usually they didn't listen accurately. They really don't know what they're talking about. They go out, they get a bunch of people hyped up. It's like a giant game of operator. And then nobody wants to be responsible for where they find themselves. So-and-so did this to me, and they promised me this, and they told me that, and blah, 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 blah. And when you think about it, if you close your eyes, it sounds like your 6-year-old coming home, you know, talking about what happened at school today. It doesn't sound like a bunch of grown-up people doing business. Because they don't want to accept responsibility, which is why I said before, I don't think it's a profession. So I don't have the cynical viewpoint that there's a lot of people that are dishonest. I just have gotten to the point that I wouldn't, I'll give you the analogy I use in training. You have a kid, and he's really excited. Just graduated from college. He's gotten into medical school. He's going into his 2nd year of medical school, and he comes home, and he's really, we're going to call him Rodney, because I would never name a child Rodney. You would never name a child Rodney, I don't think. And for those of you watching that are named Rodney, I hope you go by Rod, and I apologize, but it's Rodney. I just don't want anybody to think I'm talking about anybody we actually know, because I'm not making fun of anyone. Rodney comes home, and Rodney's unhappy. I say, Rodney, what's the matter? And he says, I'm just so mad, Mom. And he's banging on the tables. And I say, well, Rodney, what's the matter? One of the world's foremost neurosurgeons came in to talk to us today. That doesn't sound like something you get upset about. That sounds exciting. What did he talk about? Oh, you know, about the brain and all this brain surgery he does. And in 2 weeks, he's doing this amazing procedure. He's only done it 6 times ever, and there's only 6 guys in the world that even ever do it, and we can go watch in the gallery. Well, I still understand why you're mad. That sounds exciting. Well, I want to do it with him. Well, what do you mean? I want to do the brain surgery with him. And you know what he said when I asked? Well, I don't know. What did he say, Rodney? He said I couldn't. He said that before I could do brain surgery, I had to finish medical school. And not just that. After I finished medical school, I had to go be an intern. And not even that. Then I had to go to general surgery residency. And after I did that, I had to go to another residency in neurosurgery. And then I had to go to a fellowship in neurosurgery. And then I had to go and I had to work in a hospital. And maybe after I did all of that, I could assist and learn to do the procedure. But I wouldn't be doing it by myself for like 10 or 11 years. Can you believe that? I'd say, well, you know, I don't want to upset you, Rodney, but that sounds kind of normal to me. Isn't that like kind of the way medical school and all those things work? Well, you know, but I just thought when I got into medical, you know, when they sent me the letter that said you've been accepted to medical school, you know, I thought that meant that I could be like operating next week. Well, why did you think that? Because they said that if I went to medical school, I was going to be a doctor. Now, that's ridiculous. And if anybody tried to make that argument, everybody would laugh in their face. And yet people come to this profession, and they're upset because people that have been doing it for years and years and years, that have worked round the clock, learned their skill set, done what is necessary, have thousands and thousands and thousands of people in their group, which is what is necessary to create the volumes, that create the revenues, that all started from them. You know, they're upset because they've been in for 90 days. They talked to 4 people, 2 of them signed, 8 people, 2 signed up, 1 quit, and they're not rich yet. And it's ridiculous. And they never thought it through, or they would know that it's ridiculous. Even if somebody promised them that would happen, in what universe is that possible? Did you ever sit down and do the math? Look at your comp plan and say, well, how many people roughly using the product every month would it take to generate this? Because it's all a math problem. Well, okay, do I think that right now it's just me, that I can get this many thousands of people using this much product? Does that sound reasonable? No. Okay. Well, they said they'd build the business for me. Okay. Does that sound reasonable to you? You buy some product and you talk to a few people, and in return somebody's going to build you a business and make you rich. Okay. Does that sound like it makes sense? But nobody wants to accept responsibility. Now, there's nothing wrong with it. It happens to all of us. But who's responsible in that situation for where you ended up? The person who talked to you, who's in the business 45 minutes longer than you? 80% of new people are brought in by new people. Were they dishonest at fault, or were they just excited? Were they no more guilty than you were? But somewhere along the line, we're all grown-ups and we have to accept responsibility for it. So I think that people need to slow down so they can hurry up. They need to ask the next question and realize it's not rocket science. It's not difficult. What's required to be successful here in terms of the way you think and the amount of effort you will put in is no different than it was required out there. This will just yield you more. This just requires less nonsense, less capital, and less education, and all those other things, and will reward you more. But the same thing is necessary to get it off the ground.
So that's bringing me to, let's see, I'm skipping around here a little bit. I have another question that I heard you talk a lot about is time versus money. Time versus money, that's a big one.
Time versus money, I do talk about that a lot. I think that, my whole thing is I try to spend time around people that are smarter than me and sharper than me. I think that that's how we improve. I think it's the fastest way to improve. And what I've noticed about people that I really admire and respect, world changers, is they figured out early on that time is more valuable than money. And what they are always willing to do is trade a little bit of money to save a lot of time. And the reason for that is money is round. It comes, it goes. You can always find a way to make more money. You can't get more time. Every minute that you spend is a minute that's not coming back. And what's worse is we don't know how many minutes we have. From the day we're born till the day we die is an unknown to us. We don't know when it's ending. We just know that every minute we spend, we can never replace. So if you look at that, the quickest way that you can make more money is to make more time. And if you can't make more time, all you can do is save time. And the fastest way to save time is if you can find somebody that's already invested a lot of their money and a lot of their time to learn something, and you can trade a little bit of your money and a little bit of your time to gain their knowledge, that's the smartest thing you can do. And my experience is successful, smart, sharp people are always willing to do that. They stand in line to do that. And people that don't get that are always holding on to their money, afraid to invest in themselves, not realizing that it's costing them so much. And I always laugh about it because the people that we always want to go train for free are the people that never get as much when you do because they don't value it. And the people that are more than willing to pay for it, who understand it, pretty much can walk in anywhere. People will always let them walk in the door because they've achieved some level of celebrity, and yet they'll always pay because it just makes the most sense. I mean, I think about the good fortune that I've had with the people that I've been able to learn from in this space, the people that I've gotten to spend time one-on-one with, or in the front row, or in masterminds, or rooms of 5,000, or with them in my ears with headphones on while I work out, or in my cassette deck, or now whatever it is we're using these days, DVD, CDs in the car, MP3s, and when I would buy them for like $30 or $40 or $99, the series of information that I could buy and listen to, and the money that it saved and made me. At one point in my life when I didn't have a lot of money, but I spent $700 on Jim Rohn's total entire collection, and I swear to God, it's what made me a millionaire. Changed my whole way of thinking. Every day I would just listen, and you get effective with it, because it's just like dieting. If you feed your body with good food, eventually you start to feel better. If you just have good stuff going in your head all the time, eventually it just changes the way you think.
I think I agree with you with the Jim Rohn. I used to do my dishes by hand instead of using the dishwasher, just because I wanted to listen to The Power of Part-Time one more time. Because every time you listen to it, it's like, wow, 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 So that probably was the best $700 you ever spent.
Well, I bought everything. I mean, and what's interesting is I've had a lot of it moved, because when I bought it, I'll date myself here, it was on VHS things and cassettes, and I mean, it was old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've since had it all converted. But I still have the original stuff because it's, like it's a collector's item or something. I don't know why, but
yeah, it probably is. Well, we're coming up on the hour here, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. But I think a nice thing to one last question to finish this with, and I didn't even get through half my questions, so.
Well, we can do it again.
Uh-huh.
We'll do another one sometime. I'm always around.
Yeah, absolutely. But I did want to touch on one more thing, and then we'll close out. But can you tell people, what you think, what your thoughts are about the timing of the direct sales network marketing profession with where social media is right now in the year 2015, and what you see for the future going into the next 5 years here for all of us?
I think that network marketing is still in the garage. I don't think we've seen anything yet, but it is the best timing that I've seen in my lifetime. It's the world is getting smaller, which is a good thing and a bad thing, of course. But for network marketing, it's a very good thing. The borders are descending. You can build a global empire out of a spare bedroom in your home. I think social media is awesome, but I think that it's overrated in this regard. I think that technology changes, human nature doesn't. So I think that we have to overcome the very same issues that human beings have always had to overcome to be successful, no matter what our means of connecting with people is. I think for people that are weak and frightened and afraid, who think that because they're of social media they can hide behind it, like now I don't have to talk to people, and now I don't have to do this, and now I don't have to ever talk to my friends and family, I don't think they're likely to find a great deal more long-term success because they can touch and reach so many more people today than they would have years ago. They may have more customers and sell more of their product, and that's transactional and that makes money. But as far as building an organization, it's a relationship business, and sooner or later you're going to have to talk to the people. And I think if the messaging, and today, I remember when we used to do conference calls and they were $1,000 to do like 4 one-hour conference calls a month. I remember, I look at what we're able to do in a Google Hangout today for free, broadcasting to the world. I'm in Hong Kong. Where are you anyway? California. California. And it boggles my mind when I think about where we were.
Me too.
But here's the thing. If the messaging is correct, then you are able today more efficiently, more effectively, certainly more for free, globally, to reach out, connect, stay connected to more people than ever before, much faster than ever before. However, if the messaging is wrong, you are just able to fail more spectacularly and more gloriously in front of a much larger audience and let it go viral. So, as is always the case, wherever there is something great, the downside increases as well. So I love social media because I think it enables us to reach more people. I think it enables us to connect more effectively. And I believe that we need to get the message out about what is possible for people as rapidly as we can, because people are waiting. People are standing on street corners. People are in all parts of the world, and they are waiting for someone to get to them with an opportunity. That's the change in focus, which is why I don't really care for those. I don't really care about those who don't see it, because my job is to find, look for those that are looking for me. When I started in the industry back with Robert 100 years ago, they had this saying: "Some will, some won't, so what?" And they were missing the last part of it. It was some will, some won't, so what? Someone else is waiting. And that's the part they forgot to tell us. And don't get hung up on all the people that want to take you off focus. Coca-Cola doesn't worry about the people that think sugary drinks are not good for you. And by the way, they're probably not. They look for all the people that like sugary drinks to find them, to want to get them to drink Coke. And they're doing pretty good. And only 2 out of 10 people in the world drink Coke. So if you think about it, no matter how good you are, 8 out of 10 people are supposed to turn you down. You're just looking for the 2 that are looking for you. And with social media, you can find them faster. But that's the job. Our job is to go help those that are waiting and to help those that are ready, because that's the only group you can impact and the only group you can help change their lives. And other people, when they're ready, you'll be there. You follow up.
I love it. Thank you so much. That's so much, as Robert would say, awesomeness in one interview here with you. By the way, he told me to ask you how you got so awesome, but I think the interview.
I had a good teacher. Robert only has 2 speeds: sleeping and laughing.
Yeah,
the way he's smiling and Molly, I'll tell you, it has been late over here, and I've enjoyed this so much. But I was kind of a little bit punchy because I've had no sleep. So get all of your watchers, listeners. I guess you never know what they're called, like viewers.
Yes.
Get all of your viewers send you what they might like to hear about or what we should cover, and we'll do it again when you're ready. We'll do part 2, and we can cover all the things that I missed or we missed tonight. And I promise to be more on track.
No, you were awesome. But
I did have fun.
Tell everyone how they can find you, reach you, your fan page, get a hold of you.
Well, I am the original techno idiot. Someday I shall have a website, but right now I'm very easy to find because I have a Facebook profile you can follow me on, and I am cleaning out people that I don't always be able to add more friends. And I have a fan page that you can connect to when you find my profile, and I'm really easy to find on Facebook. Molly will. Molly's connected me. I'm searching Molly's friends, and she'll have it. And Molly will tell you. I answer all my. Everybody writes me. I answer all my emails, and I answer them all personally. Sometimes my assistant will write back for me or set things like this up. I do write back to everybody, so if I can ever help anybody with anything, just reach out. Always love to help if I can. That's my way of contributing back, because the industry has been very, very good to me.
Yes, and we all appreciate
fun.
that much. We appreciate you so much, and
I like this map thing. I may have to steal that from you. I've always been wondering, not the map, borrow the idea. Because I'm always wondering what would be cool to put behind you. I'm not the traditional kind of backdrop person. I'm not the.
No, me either. That's why I was like.
I really like. This is such a cool idea.
Hey, it's part of my imagination on fire here.
The standard is to give credit 3 times. You know how when you borrow something. I promise when I borrow this for you, I'm going to go 5. Because I'm going to go above and beyond.
Well, I did learn where Hong Kong was yesterday, so. And we didn't even get to talk about what you're doing there, but I think I'm going to let you go because you're sleepy. And I just want to thank everyone for watching Successful Women in Business interview number 3, 2015 interview series with Lisa Grossman. We had a fabulous time. And if you want to know more tips, tricks, or see more interviews with us, you can go to www.swbgroup.info, and that's where you can find us. So I want to thank you one more time, Lisa, and can't wait for our next interview. Good night, Hong Kong. Have a great one.